Xanth collapsed, convulsing violently on the supermarket floor, with neon blue blood spurting from her nose and mouth. The Vulcan princess had nearly died from going grocery shopping. She had thought Earth would be a safe place to explore and learn. But Xanth quickly learned that humans were far more dangerous than she ever could have imagined. From the moment she arrived, she was overwhelmed by the primitive yet chaotic human society. Crumbling infrastructure, archaic fossil fuel vehicles, constant wars and conflicts. Humans seemed to live their mayfly lives in a state of perpetual, self-inflicted misery and strife. And yet there was something about them, a grit and determination that refused to give up, even in the face of insurmountable odds. When Xanth lay dying from a severe allergic reaction to Earth food, human doctors saved her life with their medical ingenuity. They skillfully treated an alien biology they'd never encountered before. Fascinated, Xanth enrolled in human medical courses to study alongside her host Nathan Henderson. But as she learned more about human history and science, she uncovered disturbing secrets. Unethical experiments on alien DNA, attempts to engineer superhuman hybrid soldiers, weapons that could unleash catastrophic destruction across the galaxy. Xanth realized she had landed in the middle of a ticking time bomb. Humanity was on the verge of a breakthrough that could shift the balance of power on a galactic scale. She had to act fast to prevent this world-ending technology from setting off an apocalyptic intergalactic war. The fate of Earth and countless worlds beyond it now rested in the hands of one alien princess. Xanth paced the cramped dorm room, her mind racing with the horrifying implications of what they had discovered. The stolen DNA, the secret experiments, the impending war between Vulcan and Zephyria. It was almost too much to process. She turned to Nathan, her blue eyes wide with urgency. "We have to act fast," she said, her voice tight. "If Tempest Dynamics succeeds in creating those hybrid soldiers, it could mean the end of everything we know." Nathan nodded grimly, his eyebrows furrowed. "I still can't believe Dr. Blackwood was involved in all this. I mean, I knew the guy had some controversial ideas, but this," he shook his head, "it's beyond unethical. It's monstrous." "And now they have my DNA," Xanth said softly, a shudder running through her. The thought of her own genetic material being used to create living weapons made her stomach churn. "We have to stop them before they complete the serum." "We will," Nathan assured her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Isaac will know what to do with the evidence we gathered. Once the truth gets out, Tempest won't be able to hide anymore." Xanth wished she could share his optimism, but the intercepted message from Vulcan greatly troubled on her mind. Her people were already at war, manipulated into conflict by the same shadowy forces behind Tempest's experiments. She couldn't abandon them, but she also couldn't leave Earth until the hybrid soldier threat was neutralized. "I need to contact the High Command," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They need to know what's really happening, that Zephyria isn't behind the abductions." Nathan frowned, concern etched into his features. "Is that safe? What if Tempest is monitoring off-world communications?" "I have to risk it," Xanth replied, squaring her shoulders. "My people are dying, Nathan. I can't just stand by and do nothing." She moved to the encrypted communicator hidden in her bag, her fingers trembling slightly as she input the coded frequency. The device hummed to life, a holographic display flickering into existence above it. "This is Princess Xanth. Authorization code Delta Zeta 9, she said, her voice steady despite the fear churning inside her. "I have urgent information regarding the Zephyrian conflict. The abductions are being carried out by a human organization called Tempest Dynamics. They're using our DNA to create hybrid weapons. Vulcan is being manipulated into war." There was a burst of static, then a gruff male voice filled the room. "Princess Xanth, this is Commander Zaid of the High Command. Are you certain of this information?" "Yes, Commander," Xanth replied, forcing down the lump in her throat. "I've seen the experiments firsthand. Tempest is close to succeeding. We have to stop them before they unleash their hybrid soldiers on the galaxy." "Understood, Princess," Zaid said, his tone grave. "We will inform the Council immediately. But Xanth, this war has already begun. Zephyria has launched attacks on our outer colonies. We need you here, leading our forces." Xanth closed her eyes, the weight of her duty pressing down on her like a physical force. She looked at Nathan, saw the perseverance burning in his eyes, and made her choice. "I'm sorry, Commander," she said softly, "but I can't leave Earth yet. If I don't stop Tempest here and now, this war will only be the beginning. Vulcan needs me here, fighting for all our futures." There was a long pause, then a heavy sigh from Zaid. "I understand, Princess. We'll do what we can to hold the line until you return. May the stars guide you." The connection terminated, leaving Xanth and Nathan alone in the suddenly quiet room. She turned to him, a fierce persistence hardening her features. "We need to move fast," she said, already mentally calculating their next steps. "If Dr. Blackwood can get us back into that lab, maybe we can sabotage the serum before they complete it." Nathan met her gaze, his own willpower mirroring hers. "I'm with you, Xanth. Whatever it takes, we'll stop them. Together." He held out his hand, and after a moment's hesitation, Xanth grasped it tightly in her own. Human and Vulcan, united against a threat that could destroy them both. She just prayed they weren't already too late. Xanth and Nathan worked tirelessly over the next few days, compiling their evidence into a comprehensive dossier. They arranged a clandestine meeting with Isaac Novak, a seasoned investigative journalist known for his fearless exposés. In a dimly lit corner of a bustling coffee shop, Isaac pored over their findings, his eyes widening as he absorbed the implications. "This is incredible," he muttered, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair. "If even half of this is true, it could bring down governments." "We need to get this out there," Nathan urged, leaning forward. "People have to know what Tempest is doing." Isaac nodded gravely. "I'll start working on the article immediately. Give me 48 hours to verify and cross-reference everything. Then we'll blow this wide open." But 2 days later, Xanth's communicator buzzed with an urgent message from Nathan. Isaac had been found dead in his apartment, an apparent suicide. The official report cited depression, but Nathan's voice trembled with impossibly strong fury as he relayed the news. "This was Tempest," he hissed. "They got to him before he could publish." Xanth felt a cold dread settle in her stomach. She paced her small dorm room, mind racing. Their one chance at exposing Tempest to the public had been brutally silenced. She knew then that they needed more powerful allies. With trembling fingers, she activated her encrypted communicator once more. This time, she input the private frequency of Ambassador Sarek, the Vulcan representative to Earth. "Ambassador," she said when the connection stabilized, "this is Princess Xanth. I have critical information regarding a threat to both our peoples." Sarek's weathered face appeared on the holographic display, one eyebrow raised in curiosity. "Proceed, Your Highness." Xanth laid out everything they had uncovered: the stolen DNA, the hybrid experiments, the manipulation of interstellar tensions. Sarek listened impassively, but she could see the growing concern in his eyes. "These are grave accusations," he said finally. "Do you have proof?" "Transmitting now," Xanth replied, uploading their dossier. Sarek's eyes flicked back and forth as he scanned the data. His usually stoic expression hardened. "I will investigate this matter personally," he declared. "In the meantime, maintain your cover and continue gathering intelligence. I will contact you when I have more information." The connection terminated, leaving Xanth feeling both relieved and apprehensive. They had a powerful ally now, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they had just escalated the stakes to a dangerous new level. Days passed in tense anticipation. Xanth and Nathan attended classes, went through the motions of normal life, all while keeping a wary eye out for any sign they had been compromised. Then, late one night, Xanth's communicator lit up with an incoming transmission from Sarek. His face was grim as he spoke. "Your suspicions were correct, Princess," he said without preamble. "I've uncovered evidence of clandestine meetings between Damian Thorne, CEO of Tempest Dynamics, and high-ranking military officials from both Vulcan and Zephyria. He appears to be manipulating both sides, stoking fears of the other developing hybrid weapons." Nathan, listening in, clenched his fists. "So he's playing everyone against each other. For what? Profit?" Sarek nodded. "It seems Thorne's ultimate goal is to ignite a full-scale war. Such a conflict would create unprecedented demand for Tempest's super soldiers. Xanth felt sick. Millions of lives hanging in the balance, all to line the pockets of one ruthless corporation. She opened her mouth to respond when another incoming transmission cut her off. Dr. Ethan Blackwood's face appeared, haggard and wild-eyed. "Nathan, Xanth, thank God," he gasped. "Something's gone terribly wrong with the latest batch of hybrids. They're unstable, aggressive beyond our ability to control. I think the alien DNA was deliberately sabotaged." Xanth's mind reeled. Had her people taken such drastic steps to prevent the creation of these weapons? "Where are the hybrids now?" Nathan demanded. "Still contained for now," Blackwood replied. "But Thorn is talking about deploying them anyway. You have to stop him before—" The transmission abruptly cut off. Xanth and Nathan exchanged horrified glances. "We need to get to that lab," Xanth said, already moving to gather her gear. "I will mobilize what forces I can," Sarek interjected. "But you must move quickly. The fate of our worlds may depend on it." As they raced into the night, Xanth's heart pounded with equal parts fear and dedication. Whatever horrors awaited them in Tempest's secret facility, she knew they had to face them head-on. The time for caution and secrecy was over. Now it was a race against time to prevent an apocalypse of Tempest's making. The assault on Tempest's secret facility was chaos incarnate. Gunfire echoed through sterile corridors as Xanth and Nathan fought alongside Sarek's hastily assembled strike team. They battled their way through security forces and rogue experiments, finally reaching the main lab where the hybrid soldiers were contained. Dr. Blackwood's warnings proved prophetic. The hybrids, driven mad by unstable DNA, had already broken free. Xanth's medical expertise and Nathan's quick thinking allowed them to subdue the creatures without lethal force, but not before several innocent researchers paid the ultimate price. In the aftermath, as sirens wailed and emergency teams swarmed the facility, Xanth found herself staring at a blank screen. Her trembling fingers hovered over the keys of her encrypted blog terminal. How could she possibly put this nightmare into words? She began to type, "Today we stopped a great evil. Tempest's monstrous experiments have been shut down. But victory tastes like ashes. So many lives lost, so much suffering inflicted. And for what? The greed of men who saw sentient beings as nothing more than weapons to be forged and sold." An incoming transmission alert interrupted her somber musings. Ambassador Sarek's face appeared, his usually stoic features betraying a hint of urgency. "Princess Xanth, we have a situation," he said without preamble. "Damien Thorn has escaped custody. Our intelligence suggests he managed to download critical research data before fleeing." Xanth's blood ran cold. "What does this mean, Ambassador?" Sarek's eyes narrowed. "It means our victory may be short-lived. Thorn possesses the keys to recreating the hybrid soldier program. If he succeeds in selling this information to the highest bidder, be it a hostile government, terrorist organization, or rogue military faction, the consequences could be catastrophic." Nathan, who had been listening intently, spoke up. "We can't let that happen. Whatever it takes, we have to stop him." Sarek nodded gravely. "Agreed. That is why I am proposing an unprecedented joint task force. Human, Vulcan, and Zephyrian operatives working in concert to hunt Thorn across the galaxy and neutralize this threat once and for all." Xanth felt a mix of emotions surge through her. Fear, anger, and a grim sense of purpose. She locked eyes with Nathan, seeing the same persistence reflected there. "I'm in," Nathan said firmly. "After everything Tempest has done, I owe it to the victims to see this through." Xanth hesitated only a moment before nodding. "I'll join as well. You'll need a medical officer familiar with multiple species' anatomies." The next weeks passed in a blur of intensive training. Xanth found herself pushed to her physical and mental limits alongside hardened soldiers from 3 different worlds. The cultural clashes were as challenging as the grueling combat drills. She documented it all in her blog. Day 17 of what the humans call boot camp. I've discovered muscles I didn't know existed, all of them sore. Our Zephyrian martial arts instructor seems to take particular joy in demonstrating throws on me. At least I'm getting better at falling. Day 23. A breakthrough in team building. Our squad successfully completed the Caves of Carthon simulation. Who knew Vulcan battle meditation techniques would pair so well with human improvisational tactics? As the newly forged strike team prepared to embark on their hunt, Xanth felt a strange mixture of trepidation and excitement. She had come to Earth seeking knowledge and found herself thrust into an interstellar manhunt. The fate of multiple worlds now rested on their success. Their pursuit of Thorn led them on a twisted path through seedy spaceports and lawless frontier worlds. Each step brought new dangers: vicious mercenary gangs, duplicitous informants, deadly traps left by their quarry. On a remote mining colony, they barely escaped an ambush by Thorn's hired guns. Xanth's quick thinking in alien physiology allowed her to reach an antidote for a neurotoxin that had incapacitated half the team. Her actions that day earned her the respect and trust of even the most hardened soldiers. But their luck couldn't hold forever. On a desolate desert planet, scorching twin suns beating down on endless dunes, disaster struck. They walked into a trap set by a notorious bounty hunter syndicate in Thorn's employ. In the ensuing firefight, Nathan was separated from the group. Xanth watched in horror as he was dragged away by the mercenaries, sand swirling around them as their transport vanished over the horizon. As the rest of the team regrouped, tending to wounds and assessing the grim situation, Xanth felt the weight of leadership settling on her shoulders. Their mission, already dangerous, had just become infinitely more complicated. They had to find Thorn, stop his plans, and now rescue Nathan, all while stranded on this unforgiving world. Xanth gazed out at the shimmering desert, her mind racing with potential strategies. The hunt for Damien Thorn had become a race against time, with the hope of the universe and her closest human friend hanging in the balance. The scorching twin suns bore down relentlessly as Xanth and the remaining strike team members huddled behind a rocky outcropping. Sweat trickled down their faces, mingling with dust and grime. The distant whine of the mercenaries' transport faded into the shimmering heat haze. "We have to go after them," Xanth said, her voice tight with urgency. "Nathan—" "Negative," growled Commander Vrix, the Vulcan tactical expert. "Our primary objective remains locating and neutralizing Thorn. We cannot jeopardize the mission for one man." Xanth's fist clenched. She knew Vrix was right, but the thought of abandoning Nathan to those ruthless bounty hunters twisted her insides. She closed her eyes, trying to center herself. A hand touched her shoulder. She looked up to see Sergeant Elena Chen, her human squad mate, giving her a grim nod. "We'll find another way," Elena said softly. "Nathan's tough. He'll hold out." Over the next grueling days, Xanth pushed herself and the team to their limits. They tracked the mercenaries' signal across the barren wasteland, always seeming one step behind. Intel trickled in through their network of informants, whispers of a ransom, of Thorn's interest in Nathan as a bargaining chip. On the fifth day, they crested a dune to see a ramshackle outpost in the distance. Heavily armed guards patrolled its perimeter. Through her binoculars, Xanth caught a glimpse of a familiar figure being roughly escorted between buildings: Nathan. "There," she hissed. "We found them!" The team spent hours observing, formulating a plan of attack. As night fell, they made their move. Stun grenades sailed over the walls, chaos erupting in their wake. Xanth's heart pounded as she vaulted a low barrier, her weapon at the ready. For a moment, it seemed their surprise assault might succeed. Then a hail of plasma fire erupted from a concealed bunker, pinning down half the strike force. Xanth dove for cover, the smell of ozone filling her nostrils as bolts sizzled past. "We're outgunned!" Vrix shouted over the din of battle. "Princess, we must retreat or risk total annihilation." Xanth's mind raced. She could see the building where Nathan was held, tantalizingly close. If they pushed hard, made a focused assault, but the cost would be high, too high. With a sickening lurch in her stomach, she gave the order. "Fall back! Tactical retreat!" As they fled into the night, leaving Nathan behind, Xanth felt something harden within her. She would find another way to save him, to stop Thorn, whatever it takes.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.